Hey there, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Watch Soup Sunday evening. Hey, I'm doing it solo. Clayton unfortunately had something last minute that came up, so I am here holding down the fort this evening, and I'm hoping I can do a great job. I love the synergy between Clayton and I, and when Sanjay was here, the three of us, great synergy working together. And so I'm going to do my best to land the plane safely this evening. And while we're at our cruising altitude, hopefully we'll have a smooth flight. Anyway, I got my SPB 185 Seiko diver on wrist today. I was actually wearing the Heinrich. It's a buzzsaw dial. The name escapes me. It's on the tip of my tongue. I was wearing that today as well. But then on the evening, I like the nice little smell of vanilla on the crafter blue strap. Anyway, um, let's say hello to the chat, and then we'll get the soup kicked off. Rick is here. Hey, Rick, good to see you. Maison One, what's up, my man? Maison is here. Steve Time Hill, always representing. Steve, thanks for joining us this evening. And there's James. Hey, James. My bel canto says Bobby is. Well, you got to set the bel canto right because I was on time. I was on time. The countdown counts as part of it all. Hey, Wolfgang is here. Good to see you, my friend. Hopefully, we'll have Wolfie join in uh, on his live stream this week coming up, maybe Tuesday. Solo is good. Yeah, I'm gonna give it a shot. We'll see. Um, Oh, I started. I seem to have started mid sentence. Oh no. All right. Well, I'm sorry. Um, hey, Wilson's here. What's going on, dude? Good to see you. Scott Tyler wearing his Zin 556 this evening. Ken is checking in from Pittsburgh. Good to see you, Ken. Um, Wayben is here wearing his Satori Billiard this evening. All right. Countdown doesn't count. All right. All right. And Wolfgang, you will try on Tuesday. You better show up Tuesday. Hey, Caliber's here. Good to see you, Caliber. All right. Hey, let's get started. Now, we're going to start first with the video that I picked this week, and that is Chrono24, most underrated watch brand, best summer watch, etc., etc. Hey, um, Thomas over at Chrono24 and Ballas, they get together and they have an episode every once in a while called Plus Minus, right? And so they go through some of the topics and they give their take and their opinion. And I always find this is a fun one to do, especially when I'm with Clayton or Sanjay and Clayton, because we give our take. But since those guys aren't here this evening, hopefully you guys can chip in and we can have a little conversation. Now, I'm not going to go through all of the plus minuses that they went with. I'm going to pick 5 or 6 that I thought were kind of interesting. And so let's get started. So the first topic, the first one in the plus and minus category, most underrated brand. Okay. Um, Ballas, well, he was wearing a Meng. And he said lots of people, they don't like Ming, they don't pay attention to it. And they have nothing good to say until he puts it in their hand and shows it to them. And then the story changes. Yeah. Right. Oh, the Ming is beautiful, this and that. Um, so that was his pick. And I think, you know, as a watch, as a topic is overrated, or underrated, I would not say that Ming is an underrated piece, me personally. I think it's kind of overrated, right? And the reason why a lot of people don't get to see any Mings is because they have this wacky system of purchasing, right? And now like you have to, you know, have one before you get one, and it's just like you have to wake up at a certain time of day, and it's just a hassle, right? It seems like it's a hassle to get one. But on the secondary, they're available, and most of them, the pricing has come down from the original MSRP. So, like Rick says, I think Meg is just fine. I think they're right. They're rated, right? They're not underrated or they're not overrated. But certainly not underrated by any means, in my opinion. And I think maybe as watch collectors, we know that maybe with people who are not familiar with Ming, they see it, maybe the design, the cues of it, you know what I mean? It's not something that they appeal to me. Actually, that's what attracted me at first years ago when I first saw Ming. I thought that the dial layout and the way the numbers were positioned, I just thought it was brilliant. But what a turnoff! Trying to buy a watch, right? So for me, not so much underrated. Scott saying that there is a Ming World Time Run watch box for like 15K. Could probably be had for less. Very tempting. Uh, now Thomas said Breguet. Now, which was a good answer, especially 2022, a couple years ago. I think we all kind of concluded, or most of us in this watch space, that our community that we have concluded that Breguet is definitely underrated. But we came to that conclusion a while ago. And so Thomas is saying that, of course they're underrated, and what a history though for the brand, right? Breguet inventing the tourbillon, right? Um, but he was saying, his comment was like, usually people who have kind of the Breguet money will probably choose a Calatrava or a Longa. Breguet often plays second, third, fourth fiddle to a lot of those more known pieces, and that's a real shame, right? And he's absolutely right about that. They play second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth fiddle. People almost forget about it, and in the luxury space, they are more attracted to like the Paddocks of the world, the Vescher and Constantine, and others, and it's a shame, right? It's a shame. They're definitely underrated, but I think that's a conclusion that a lot of us have come to. My pick is Ulysses Nardine. Like, I think, what some great horological feats. Our friend Amin had perpetual, the first perpetual calendar where you can set it back and forth, right, without breaking the thing, and then of course you have the Freak X, just a splendid, or the Freak, a splendid piece of horological yumminess, right? I mean, it's just amazing. um you know the Brigade and Yusin Nardine, have that kind of like that feel and reputation of like, very much Russian oligarch kind of watches, right? But once you look past that, I think Ulysses Nardine is such a underrated, underappreciated brand, right? So anyway, uh, Rob, does Ulysses Nardine sell breakfast sausages too? Come on, man. Come on. Pronunciation is not my experience. Well, it is, but I mean, like, not with these, like, different brands from different countries. You know what I mean? Like, I just have, whatever. You try to do this live and pronounce Ulysses Nardane. You try to do this. Scott saying, Parmigiani Fleurier, Roger Dubuis, old and new, Daniel Roth are all underrated. Glassut, yeah. Wolfgang saying, overall, my vote goes to Brigade too, though the lack of good sportsmen, sports wise at the moment. UN also, but a bit of a one hit wonder at the moment for me. Um, James saying, I think OG is underrated, or at least under recognized. I love you too, Wilson. um, hey, best two tone watch. Okay, so Thomas said Cartier Santos, especially the ones from the 90s, preferred the balance. He thinks Cartier really has mastered the balance between gold and stainless steel on a watch, right? Like, it's not like too overpowering or too underpowering. He feels like it's just right. Balas mentioned a couple of Rolex, the 1613 Datejust, and which is an classic 80s piece, champagne dial. That's what it reminds him of. And he also mentioned doing the Oyster Quartz, another two-tone. So two Rolex picks there. Hey, look, I, I'm a big fan of the Rolex root beer. That's one of my favorite two-tone watches. That's my favorite Rolex out there. Um, Love it. I like that Seamaster, the diver, the Seamaster Professional, the the Sedna Gold with the blue dial diver. Like these are not all timers, compared to like some of these classic choices, right? But they're my favorites, and that's what I like. Um, Best two tone, the none of the above. Okay. Um, for ladies, the new two tone Parmigiani Tonda are incredible. Yeah, root beer, right? James is saying I was gonna say this Cartier Santos Dumont two tone. Yeah, yeah, great picks there. Miss Owen saying I'm still saving the glass. you is that have we rewritten glasuta to like now it's glass hoot? Okay, we rewritten Yoma Shop and now we're rewritten glasuta. Um, yeah. Uh, Wolfie saying my favorite probably the Tritone S&P 300. Yeah, that's a good looking piece. Excellent choice. Um, Moving forward, another one, and I felt like they've had this discussion before, but best complication. Maybe the previous discussion was more nuanced to something else, but Thomas is saying that he likes impractical complications, right? And that going is like his choice is the moon phase, right? He loves that. It's impractical, but there's some brands who do moon phases just incredibly. Um, if he's going really out there, he's going with the Blancpain equation of time. Um, Boss saying, his favorite is chronograph. He wavered from like, okay, but if you're gonna actually put that aside, that his favorite is a chronograph movement, the date, and then he went from the date to like probably the best complication is the perpetual calendar, and the the making, the math involved of picking an accurate day of the week 68 years from now, or whatever it was, is impressive to him. Mine all-time favorite best complication, and I said it to this part of this topic that I believe that they had talked about before, is the power reserve. I just think it's the most useful. Maybe that's what it was, the most useful complication. Maybe that's what they. I still think it's even just the best complication. I just think it's incredibly useful, and I love it, and I love seeing it. You know, and I was seeing it on the dial. Um, Rick is saying the most useful complication for me is the dual time travel time. The dual travel. Hey, well, Rick travels a lot. It makes perfect sense that would be his favorite complication, for sure. Um, the fourth topic in this one was worst case material, and Ballas was right off the bat bronze. Bronze. He hates bronze. He doesn't like bronze. It looks dirty when it patinas, changes colors, all different colors, and it's just not for him, right? Um, Thomas, on the other hand, was saying ceramic. Ceramic is the worst case material. It can break and you can't repair it, and it's done. And so yeah, I really never really put too much thought into it, but I'm somewhere in between bronze and ceramic, right? Um, for sure. Um, if the bronze patina is in a way that's not you know pleasing. I mean, I guess you kind of can reverse it. I don't know, but it just seems like a lot of work. And some brands do bronze better than others. You know what I mean? So you got to find. For me, I think you have to find the right brand who does it well. And then the ceramic. Yeah, that's the ceramic. That's pretty tricky, especially if you break it. I mean, you can't like what do you do? Like what do you do? Hobby Bobby saying that favorite complication, mechanical alarm. His own is also with World Time on that one. Wolfgang saying that time for alarm watch sub collection Hobby Bobby for sure. Worst case material is, and I can't read that symbol. I don't know what this. Maison says I have ceramic. You do have to really smack it one to break it though. Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah. Um, But a lot of my friends who have ceramic watches, they love it. They love it. But I guess you love it until you break it. Um, Best summer watch. Um, and uh, and so you know, these two guys. They were talking about, okay, well, probably makes sense that you want something on a bracelet, something with some water resistant, and the choice would lead you to believe that a diver is probably your best choice. But also saying, I wear my G-Shock a lot in the summer, and I gotta admit, I wear a whole lot of G-Shocks in the summer for sure, especially when I'm doing work outside. But just because it's just you know something that you could just like throw on and not worry about. More active in the summer, right? Doing more stuff outside. So, um, not a care in the world, like busting up a G-Shock. I can replace them. There's so many different colors and types and whatnot. It really is a great summer watch, and I have to agree with him on that. Um, Thomas saying the Mito decompression timer. And they both like the funky dial on that one, and that's a pretty cool look at summer watch for sure, because of those kind of crazy colors you have on the dial. Lent to feel like more of a like pastel kind of type colors, more like a summery kind of piece. Um, oh, cheese, Rob. Yeah, that's right. The cheese is cheese. I was gonna, initially when they first were talking about that, I was thinking about like that wood watch, that watch house made out of wood. I'm like, what? No thanks. No thanks. Rubber strap for summer. For sure, Rick. I've pretty much switched a lot of my dive watches to go on rubber right now because it just feels great. I mean, I do like a bracelet, but I think the rubber is the way to go. I'm with you. Um, any solar diver, any solar diver for James. Um, Time Hill chiming in. Most useful complication. Date then GMT. Those Omega Seamaster Summer Blue anniversary watches last summer were very summery. Very true. They were very, very summery. Um, okay. Hey, Stefan, hey, going back to Maison saying, hey, you are absolutely right. Have had two ceramic, still own the black ceramic bathy, and never had an issue. It's my material. I scratch everything up, including DLC, even the lugs on the Tudor black ceramic, Tudor black base ceramic. Okay. Um, Finally, we're going to talk about their choices for the best integrated bracelet watch. And Ballas was like, um, that his he's setting aside the obvious picks, right? The Nautilus and the Royal Oak, and he's going to go oyster quartz. He loves his oyster quartz. He thinks it's the epitome of the integrated bracelet watch. So interesting pick. Thomas also going with a Rolex, but an older the King Midas Rolex. It's like a sculpture with a Gerald Genta design. He designed 10 years before the Royal Oak, right? Parthenon inspiration, just a really cool looking piece, right? And it came in yellow gold and white gold on a bracelet, and you can put it on a strap, but it's made for a bracelet, and just a really really cool piece. Hey, I'm gonna go with um, one of my all-time favorites, and that is the GP Laureato, and another one that's kind of like getting numbered. It's a close number two now, and that is the Chopard Alpine Eagle. Man, I just love that watch. I just love that watch. So for me, GP and a close second is the Alpine Eagle. Wolfie saying that the Ploprof is a great summer watch, and Rick loves it too. So that's good. Yeah, very nice. Wilson loves me some oyster quartz. Mm, mm. Ah, Time Hill with his selection integrated bracelet, Chapek Antarctique. Also very very nice pick. Yeah, integrated bracelet ceramic Laureato. Yeah, the Laureato is a great watch. I gotta get me one of them one day. One day. It's on a list. There's like the list is getting bigger and bigger by the day, right? Hobby Valley with the Octo Finissimo. Hmm. All right. Okay. Um, Wolfie approving of your pick, Maison. Yes. Okay. Let's get moving to Clayton's pick. Now I had to scramble and do a little bit of a synopsis or paraphrasing or whatever, taking notes on it, so we can go through it. And it's a pretty lengthy one. Well, it's one of these, it's Pete McConvill, Bremont, the media bias and tribalism. Um, Pete, along with some other wa- uh, channels that we review on or talk about. Um, Periodically, is always they're always it's always heavy on notes, so I'm going to try to do this justice, especially compared to Clayton, who's like an amazing note taker when it comes to some of the videos that he selects. He's just amazing. Again, Bremont, the media, the bias, and the tribalism. uh, Pete starts off by talking about how, like, there's a couple of topics that were really really obvious to him when after the wrap up of Watches and Wonders, and one is, what is going on with Bremont, right? And two, journalistic integrity. So he tackles the Bremont issue first, and he starts off by saying that Bremont has been doing okay, but not well enough, and spending has been outpacing what they're bringing in. Debt levels have been rising, and investors in the brand are unhappy, and have driven change in the brand. And the change came to a head at Watches and Wonders because all the management discussions were coming from the new management, from the front of the new management, and not the two brothers who um, have been represent the brand in the past. um, and this is manifested into some branding changes, right? So, like in the logo, they get rid of the propeller and they put more of a generic logo design in there, and that's trickled down to the fonts and the numbers and whatnot. And you have the Terra Nova and the Supermarine that have been, that Supermarine diver has been, like, a watered down version of what they've done previously. And um, and basically it's become very very general, right? He says generalistic. And a lot of the messaging that's coming out of Bremont, I mean, it could apply to any other watch brand or shoe company or etc. And it's just anodyne. He uses the word anodyne, which it doesn't inspire any great feelings, right? And so the social media take, right? Most people have decided that that Bremont is a dead brand, and they're preparing, to pretty much dance on their grave, right? Um, um, so Pete says that he has been aware of the uh, the discussion and the hate coming from the forums and the discourse. I don't really care for Bremont, but didn't realize the level of animosity until last week, when a lot of people seem to be, actually dancing on the graves of Bremont, and calling it, like, and we had this discussion last week, right? Or a couple weeks ago, like, what is Bremont doing? Like, some of these designs have been just terrible. The field watch was just, what are they doing? It's just like a complete difference there, and nothing, like Pete says, nothing like inspiring any kind of great feelings. Um, Now, the take from the professional media has been a little bit different. He points out, right? He says that it's been more muted, and they want to see, although saying that, like, what we saw is kind of like, not great, but we'll wait and see how it plays out, right? And so Pete mentions that this has opened the door for some of the people in the forums and in the Discord groups to say that this is social bias, apparently, here, right? The mainstream media is giving Bremont a pass, and it's probably because they're a shill, and have been bought out by Bremont, the brand, right? Um, and this is what Pete doesn't like about the forums. He goes back and says that he got two watches from through photography, right? And some of the forums there were incredibly toxic, and then you had battles between camps battling each other for to see what tribe wins, right? And in the photography forums, and he says that he is starting to see that now with a lot of the watch forums, and he's seeing this happen uh, with the camp Christopher Ward enjoying their seemingly victory over Camp Bremont, and Camp Christopher Ward expressing their anger at the media for not taking their side um, versus Bremont, and so therefore they must be shills and paid off. And so he then goes into why, a little bit of background about why there's these two camps here, and so you have Christopher Ward, it's a very premium product, value for buck, very much like do your homework, compare what you get for what you pay for Bremont compared to some of the more other luxury high-end pieces, and you'll see that you get the value here with Bremont, right? I mean, with Christopher Ward, um, and then um, and then you have Bremont, right? And Bremont, the polar opposite. You couldn't get more polar opposite, right? It's all about the history, the iconography, um, and the association with the military, and being British, right? They're opening up ADs where Christopher Ward is just an online kind of like presence, right? Total different. And with Bremont, the price is the price, right? I mean, you paid or you don't, right? And for us, for me especially, like down the road, I mean, previously, I didn't get what Bremont was doing. Sure, they had some controversy with not being transparent with some of the movements that they were using, right? um and that I just didn't get it, like like the very um safe designs, although very pleasing, right? Pleasing to the eye, nothing terrible, but there weren't anything groundbreaking in design. But and they were charging what they were charging, and I just I didn't get it, didn't think of it as anything else. And so you have these two opposite camps, right? And now we see like some of the Christopher Ward fans kind of like dancing on the grave of Bremont, and they're upset, right, that the media is not joining in on it. And so Pete makes the argument that the Christopher Ward fans who um, who are upset with the media, just want the media to accurately portray what's actually going on. And Pete doesn't buy that. Pete doesn't buy that. Pete says that he thinks that they enjoy the drama of it all. And I got to be honest with you. I mean, until I saw this video, I didn't realize that there was such um, divisiveness between Christopher Ward fans and Bremont fans. And look, I know we have our differences of opinion, and we often wonder, what brands are doing, and do we like that brand? Do we love this brand? And we pick our own winners and our own losers. But I just feel like it just doesn't go further than just a discussion between people, and it's not necessarily animosity and whatnot, but it seems to be like some big to do with what's going on. And I mean, what do you guys think? I mean, like I mean, like I appreciate Pete bringing this to light, and this has nothing to do with his video. But I mean, like, do we care? Do we care about Christopher Ward versus Bremont? Like, is that like kind of like the battle? Is that the undercard of like some other battles that deserve more billing, right? Like I don't know. I don't know. I never really put too much thought into Bremont. I never put too much thought into Christopher Ward, although I probably put more thought into Christopher Ward than to Bremont. I think, have I owned the Christopher? Yeah, I think I owned a Christopher Ward for like a hot minute once. Um, they make a heck of a moon phase. I gotta tell you that, but I don't know. It seems like it's kind of crazy. It seems like it's kind of crazy. I'm gonna see what the chat has got to say here. Wolfgang is saying, I predict the CEO fired this year and the relaunch. That relaunch was horrendous. I looked at Bremont once, Ms. saying I couldn't find anything I like, and they quite expensive for a lot of third party movements. Um, I think Bremont lost their already thin plot. The new CW skeleton is cool. Another good one after the bel canto. Maison saying a few years AC3 C3 ripped into Adrian B for his Bremont video, and now I think everyone is a bit cautious of Bremont now. Maison going back saying Christopher Ward start doing interesting things though with the pieces like the bel canto. If they keep doing that, they will build a brand in a good way. James saying Bremont seem capable of making a good watch, but I think their marketing overshadows their catalog. Um, but in defense of Bremont, the Christopher Ward community loved nothing more than the smell of their own farts. Oh, great line. Great line. What movie, James? What movie? Let me see if you know what movie that line has been said. I mean, I don't know if that's like a normal line. I mean, I know I say that line every once in a while because I got it from this movie, but I had no idea there was a Ward versus Bremont. Absolutely. Absolutely. Neither did I. Bremont versus CW. British cage match winner takes all. I guess so. I guess so. Anyway, look, I mean, interesting video from Pete. You're always gonna get like his take, whether you agree with it or not, on it. I really have no dog in a race here, or horse in a race. This was a video that Clayton picked, and I think I was trying to get a couple of people on after Clayton couldn't make it today, who may have more of a hot take on this. But I couldn't rustle it up at the last minute. So getting a little drama here in the watch soup on a Sunday night for you guys, but I couldn't make it happen. Um, anyway, hey, look, we got through it. We got through it. 30 something minutes in. Um, I think Clayton will be back with us next week, either Friday or Sunday, and I'm not really sure when. It might be Friday or Sunday next week. Oh, I can't do Friday. Can't do Friday. It's got to be Sunday. Um, Going to see the Black Crows with Mrs. Legs. Is it going to be a good show? I don't know. There's a few songs from the Black Crows that I like, but I mean, like, I don't know. Sometimes, you just have to let these bands play and just like maybe not go. But hey, Mrs. Legs wants to go, so we're gonna go see the Black Crows. I hope it's gonna be a good show. I think it's gonna be a good show. I'm gonna be positive, ultra positive. But anyway, yes, Tuesday live stream on the regular channel. Hopefully, Wolfie can make it there. Would appreciate it. Uh, no pressure. And guys, have a great rest of your week, and I'll see you on Tuesday. Have a good night. Take care.